In 1607, 3 frail ships nose into a swampy Virginia river bend, unloading 104 hopeful Englishmen onto land that will soon try to kill them. Fever, salt-poisoned water, and Powhatan arrows close in, yet the settlers cling to a promise whispered by their sponsors. Endure here, and an empire will bloom. They build a wooden church at Jamestown's heart, holy ground, and, for a privileged few, a burial vault. 4 centuries later, archaeologists prise up its floorboards and uncover 4 coffins, one draped in a silver-spangled sash. Ancient DNA testing follows, cracking open a secret capable of rewriting an aristocratic lineage and our view of America's first colony. Curious what they found? Subscribe now and follow the mystery as it unfolds. Across the Atlantic, England in the early 1600s is a kingdom restless for glory. King James I, freshly seated on Elizabeth's throne, needs new revenue streams to pay his debts and outshine Catholic Spain. The Virginia Company of London answers with an audacious business plan: sell stock, recruit adventurers, stake a claim on the fabled riches of the New World, and, if fortune smiles, punch through to a westward passage to Asia. Investors swarm, merchants, courtiers, even the king himself, seduced by rumors of gold-laced rivers and silken trade routes. They outfit 3 modest vessels, the Susan Constant, Godspeed, and Discovery, load them with gentlemen soldiers, artisans, and restless boys, and dispatch them on Christmastide 1606. As the Thames fades behind icy spray, no passenger aboard imagines the 4.5-month gauntlet of storms, hunger, and mutiny ahead, nor that their landfall will spark a centuries-long experiment in empire. Jamestown's first summer steams with malaria. The brackish James River, their only drink, pickles guts with salt, spawning dysentery and typhoid. By autumn, half the company is dead. Worse, the Powhatan Confederacy, perplexed by these iron-clad trespassers, alternates gifts with ambushes. Into the chaos strides Captain John Smith, mercenary, raconteur, and the one man willing to enforce a blunt maxim: "He that will not work shall not eat." Under his prickly command, palisades rise, maize is bartered, and mortality slows. Just enough. Then, in late 1609, Smith is blown back to England with powder burns, and the colony unravels. Drought withers crops. Powhatan warriors ring the fort, shooting any head that dares peer over the ramparts. The coming winter, later branded the starving time, turns Jamestown into a fevered charnel house. Horses, dogs, rats, even shoe leather vanish into stew pots. Of some 300 souls, barely 60 totter out when relief sails upriver in June 1610, finding a settlement ready to abandon its own dream. In the brief lull after Smith's reforms, settlers raise a sturdier focus for their spirit. A timber church, hastily clapboarded, yet crowned with a salvaged ship's bell. Each Sunday, it peals across the palisade, summoning survivors to Anglican prayers and to public penance for idleness or blasphemy. Weddings, baptisms, and burials funnel beneath the thatched roof. The chancel, closest to the rough-hewn altar, is reserved for gentlemen whose rank, or martyrdom, earns interment on holy ground. Between 1608 and 1616, this humble nave becomes both heartbeat and memory vault of Jamestown. Centuries later, Jamestown seemed to have melted back into the tidewater mud, until 1994, when archaeologist William Kelso planted a stake on the island and vowed to find the lost fort. Against scholarly doubt, his team traced soil stains, post holes, and pig bones until the fort's triangular footprint re-emerged like a ghostly blueprint. 2 decades of spade work yielded more than 1 million artifacts, but the most electrifying moment came in 2013 when trowels probed the church chancel. A row of 4 coffins appeared, perfectly aligned east-west, their outlines darker than the surrounding clay. Nail patterns revealed that 2 were lavishly built, and inside one lay the corroded glitter of a silver-spangled military sash, the sort only a gentleman officer dared wear into battle. Overnight, the humble wooden church read like a sealed family mausoleum, and Kelso summoned bioarchaeologists to coax stories from the bones, stories waiting to be heard. From coffin wood and burial depth, the team sketched a social hierarchy, then mined colonial ledgers, ship manifests, and letters for likely candidates. The sash pointed first, a fallen officer of noble birth. Only one fits, Captain William West, nephew, so everyone thought, of Governor Thomas West, killed in a 1610 skirmish. The second ornate coffin matched a 34-year-old knight who died that same summer, Sir Ferdinando Wenman, the governor's first cousin. The plainer graves held power of a different stripe. Dental wear and a shattered hymnal clasp suggested Reverend Robert Hunt, Jamestown's inaugural minister, dead 1608. The last skeleton, its jaw pierced by an arrowhead, aligned with the colony's sharp-tongued critic, Captain Gabriel Archer, lost to the starving time. Paper, wood, and bone seemed finally in agreement until genetics whispered a deeper twist. Tiny scrapings from femurs go to the lab, where next-gen sequencers skim traces of mitochondrial DNA. The genetic watermark passed unbroken from mother to child. When the data scrolls up, technicians blink. Captain William West and Sir Ferdinando Wenman share an identical, uncommon maternal signature. That can happen only if they descend from the same recent ancestress. But period pedigrees insist West is the governor's patrilineal nephew, not a cousin through the female line. Something is off. Either the bones lie or the archives do. The scientists double-check contamination controls. The match holds. Historians reopen wills, chancery suits, and parish whispers, hunting for a woman who links the 2 men through blood, yet hides in plain sight. DNA has cracked the coffin. Now the paper trail must explain the living scandal it reveals. Buried in a 1612 chancery dispute over Captain West's unpaid wages, historians spot a throwaway line from Lady Anne Knollys. "My niece Elizabeth did leave issue." The phrase jolts every assumption. Elizabeth West, Governor Thomas's unmarried aunt, had long vanished from polite record, but parish baptism lists confirm she bore a boy christened William in 1589, no father named. That boy later sails to Virginia under the convenient fiction of being the governor's brother's son, a rebranding that shields both mother and child from the stain of bastardy. Illegitimate births were common, yet within titled families they sparked inheritance chaos and social disgrace. By slotting William into the legitimate branch, the West Knollys clan preserved its public pedigree while still advancing their blood relative. 400 years later, a few bone fragments and a genetic match have pried open the cover-up, letting modern readers glimpse the private intrigues that underpinned England's imperial venture. Jamestown now holds a double first: the earliest permanent English settlement and the earliest proof that ancient DNA can rewrite elite genealogy in colonial America. The discovery fuses shovel, archive, and sequencer into a single investigative engine, showing how archaeology locates the question, history frames it, and genomics delivers the verdict. It forces scholars to read family trees as hypotheses, not gospel, to treat church floor burials as encrypted footnotes rather than hallowed ends. Above all, it humanizes empire. Behind every charter and skirmish stood families juggling ambition, secrecy, and survival. Fault lines still traceable in a fragment of bone. 4 coffins parted the veil of 400 years and outpoured a story no textbook hinted at. A clandestine birth, a patched-over pedigree, and the reminder that America's first English outpost was built by fallible, complicated people. What began as a desperate stock venture became a crucible where faith, ambition, and biology still converse across time. Kelso's trowel framed the question, trial transcripts supplied clues, and a strand of mitochondrial DNA delivered the confession, proof that the past has more witnesses than we ever imagined. Jamestown's saga is far from closed. Only a fraction of the fort has been excavated. Isotope labs are refining methods to trace childhood diets and migration routes. LiDAR scans hint at forgotten outlying farms. Every shovel of soil still promises another reckoning. As we press forward, the colony's lesson endures. Dig deep, read skeptically, test relentlessly, because history, like the river beside Jamestown, keeps fresh currents hidden just beneath its surface. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Jamestown's hidden history. Our next voyage will unearth more stories where archaeology and DNA reshaped the past. Stay tuned. Until then, keep questioning what lies beneath the surface.